Aloha YouTube, this is ReSquared coming at you with another video. I like the feedback I got in the last video and you had to leave it in the comment section. So, it's no more disliking videos and you now have to leave it in the comment section. So this time, I'm gonna give an analysis on the first video that YouTube put out and then see how big creators have reacted to it. And then I'm gonna give my feedback about the whole thing so we can nip this in the bud. Is the dislike button worth it or not?
Apparently, groups of viewers are targeting a video's dislike button to drive up the count, turning it into something like a game with a visible scoreboard. And it's usually just because they don't like the creator or what they stand for.
And like we discussed in the last video, I mean, it takes a lot of courage and effort to put any video together. I don't care if you just lazily slop together a video. Anytime, especially when you put your face in a video or when you put your name on the line, like that's a lot of credibility that goes into that video. So if you have the courage to put that out there into the ether, I agree with anybody that says you should be, out there to accept the repercussions of putting that out there. But for these people, leave constructive criticism on their video. Don't just leave a dislike, because a dislike doesn't tell the person anything other than that you didn't like their video or you didn't agree with their point, which doesn't really help them out as a content creator if that's your overall goal. If your overall goal is just to dislike the video because you didn't like with their content, then you're not helping them out anyway. So that doesn't really help anybody else out other than maybe the person to feel better about themselves, about putting somebody else down. Especially it's like, like mob mentality at that point when it's like a whole group of people that already have disliked the video and then more people are piling on disliking the video even more. It's counterintuitive because it's not really helping the whole situation out. Now, to combat things like scamming and things like that, sure, it's great. And if you have tips and trick videos, and like we said before, objective videos, they need some type of way to have a ratio. But I'm sure they could, come around to a solution where it involves like, there having to be like a minute of you watching it before that you can comment or dislike the video. Then it would make a lot more sense because, you actually have to, partake in some of the content before you can, give your feedback on it. Otherwise, you're just, you can't dislike a video in 2 seconds. You didn't really see anything, you know what I mean? You're just basing yourself off the title and the person. So that's the real reason why YouTube's whole philosophy on how the infrastructure should be is more like you should have to leave a comment. Because when you leave a comment, it's going to be very obvious whether you've seen the video or you didn't see the video. And if you didn't see the video, then we can just ignore your comment. It's basically a troll comment. And if you did see the video, then you're actually giving constructive criticism, which is all we wanted in the first place. Because if you're a small content creator, which is the only people that this metric actually applies to, then you actually would love constructive criticism like that. They say, oh well, this was out of place or that was out of place, or you could have did this better, you could have did that better. That's a lot more productive than just telling somebody their video sucked, because that's not helping them out at all. You know what I'm saying?
That's a big problem when half of YouTube's mission is to give everyone a voice.
Yeah, and there's a lot of creators that could be creators, I guess you could say potential creators, that would create more content, but they are afraid because of the backlash, because their opinion may not be the popular opinion. And if you have a popular opinion, then by all means, YouTube is going to be a perfect place for you, just like any other social media platform. But when you don't have a popular opinion on something, and you're a small creator, then where are you supposed to go? Because if you make that video, then you know that the backlash is going to get to you. And a lot of people, I'm going to say most people, don't have the thick skin to put out a video like that, even though they want to make that content. By disallowing the dislike button, well, now you're opening the floodgates for a whole lot of these creators to have a voice and to expand on their thoughts that maybe other people had. And that's why I said this is a big thing for a lot of small creators. I'm telling you, a lot of small creators is gonna come out of the woodworks now, because then they're gonna feel like empowered to make content. They at least they're not gonna get disliked. And if they don't get disliked, you have to leave it in the comments. And it's not as big of a deal. I know you think that it like, oh, comments are gonna be way more hurtful, and you gotta keep it real though. So you know what I mean? Because if you say something super duper hurtful, but it's not relevant to the video or it's untrue, then it's just gonna be written off as a troll comment. But if you actually leave a comment about the video and you say, hey, this, that, and the third was bad, and it's actually accurate, then that person can be cognizant of that and make a better video on the next video, because they can take your constructive criticism into account to make their production quality even better. So I think this is a really, really helpful, honestly.
Dislike button is staying, but the dislike counts will now be private. You can still dislike videos, and that action will be used to tune your own recommendations, but you won't be able to see the dislike count. Only the creator can find it on the back end if they want.
This is another very important point to take away from what he just said, that a lot of big creators, I don't think they were like really, thinking about from a macro scale. But if you think about it, YouTube pays us via watch time, right? And your metrics are based off analytics, and the analytics, most of them are based around impressions. Impressions are how many people are potentially could see your video, essentially, right? And these impressions are based off of a lot of different things, like, of the initial people that YouTube has showed your video to, how many people looked at the video, how many people watched a good portion of the video, how many people liked your video, how many people disliked your video, how many people commented on your video. And when you put all these things together, it understands, is this video a banger or not? That's basically what it wants to know. Because if it's a banger, then they're going to promote it because they want people to stay on that platform as long as possible. If it's not, then they're not going to do that. So when people are like scared, like, oh, well, all these scammy things are going to happen and these channels are going to come up and all this stuff. And it's like, but you got to remember, the algorithm is still there. It's not like the algorithm disappeared. So if you dislike a video, it's still, the algorithm still takes into account that dislike. You know what I mean? It's not like the video is gonna, suddenly get more popular or anything. It's still gonna be disliked by you, not gonna get recommended by you. So that means if a lot of people dislike a video, still it'll have the same impact on the algorithm in terms of its searchability. It's not gonna be in the search results if everybody dislikes it. So in terms of like helpful videos, DIY, obstructive videos, constructive videos, objective videos, anything in the lines of that, if there is a high dislike ratio still on these videos, they're not going to get recommended in the queue. You know what I mean? And it's going to be very obvious in the comment section if it works or not. So it's not like, you don't have the correct analytics to be able to understand, does this thing work or does this thing not work? Like, all of the correct tools are still going to be there and in place to make sure that YouTube stays pretty much the same experience as it has always been. And I'm telling you, a few months from now, everybody's going to forget about the dislike button. They don't even care anymore.
When the teams looked at the data across millions of viewers and videos in the experiment, they didn't see a noticeable difference in viewership, regardless of whether they could see the dislike count or not.
Yeah, like I was saying before, the viewership is going to be exactly the same because YouTube's algorithm is really doing all the work here. It's not about like the user input that's controlling the videos. It's really more or less how much people are watching the videos, which videos people are liking and disliking, and how active the engagement is of these people on the video, which is going to determine if YouTube promotes the video or they don't promote the video. So when YouTube really likes a video, they'll promote that video to people that are outside of even the circle that it's intended for. You know what I mean? They'll promote a car video even for non-car people if that car video just, branches off into other fields. Maybe it's cars and tech, maybe it's a very technological car. So the same way that if a video has, bad feedback and it's getting, not very good reviews and engagement, then YouTube's gonna be mindful of that, and they're gonna end up, suppressing that video and making sure a lot of people don't see this video. So you don't have to really worry about, these scam channels and scam related videos coming up more or being more popular or anything like that, because the viewership is gonna be the same.
Next common question: if creators can still see the dislike count on the back end, how's that any different? They can see it if they look for it inside Studio Analytics under the Engagement tab. But overall, it's much less likely to cause stress and embarrassment if the count isn't visible to the public.
And there's a lot of people that are calling this cap, like, oh, this is cap right here. But really think about it though. Sometimes, especially like when you're in high school, right? Like a lot of the fights got instigated because everybody was around, everybody's seen what was happening. Like, oh, whoa. But otherwise, if that same interaction had happened, like, the one guy steps on another guy's shoe, or one guy, pushed another guy or bumped into him or whatever, if they were by themselves or after school or something like that, the fight would have never happened because they don't feel that anxiety, that peer pressure in order to, you know, stand out and to perform in that scenario. So the same exact stress and you know, anxiety is going to be there on YouTube as well when you make videos. You know what I mean? It's one thing if just you know that your video is getting heavily disliked, but it's a whole nother thing when you let the whole world know, no, your video is getting disliked. You know what I mean? Like it's a very hard pill to swallow to know that. And I know there's gonna be probably people say, well, just make better content. Better is a subjective term though, because what's defined as better, right? I'd venture to say that the YouTube video right here is very high production quality, very high sound quality. Obviously they spent tens of thousands of dollars on this video, but it's so heavily disliked, right? Why is it so heavily disliked? Well, because you don't agree with the opinion of it. So does that make it a bad video because it's not the popular opinion? And if that's the case, then that shows a whole problem with the dislike button in itself, because now it's not really serving its intended function of, you know, being an objective measure of, is this video a good video or a bad video? It's more of an opinionated metric of, do I like this video or do I not like this video? You know, so that's kind of where the scope is kind of trying to curve and go into this different mindset of, should likes and dislikes be what they were intended to be, which is a guide to let people know this video you should stay away from, or this video you should stay, you know, go towards. And getting out of those echo chambers is very important for, you know, society as a whole. And even better than that, just like opening your own mindset. You know what I mean? Maybe you see a video now that you wouldn't see before because you're gonna look at immediately at the like and to dislike ratios. Now you can't judge off of that. You got to judge based off the comments and watching the video yourself. So you might hear a little bit more of a different perspective, and that's always going to be more enlightening in the end. So that's a good thing.
To realize, if they go on watch a video just from the title, you can kind of tell, all right, this is going to be a video that is going to rustle some jimmies, you might say. There's going to be some people out there that are not going to like what this person is about to say, and in those situations, you can kind of already expect that there's going to be a lot of dislikes and just kind of ignore it.
I love his last sentence there where he says you can kind of ignore it. So he's even acknowledging the fact that if you put out a video that is controversial, that you're going to have dislikes and you just have to accept it. And it's like, that's kind of the whole reason why, you know, opinions are squashed, because if only one side can speak, then we're not going to have a fair conversation, right? Like that's why a lot of, you know, different wars and things of that nature have happened, because only one side had a voice. So the other side had to stand up. And it's like, speech should not be one thing that we have a debate on, like whether it should be allowed or not. You know what I mean? So like, let's make it as accessible as possible for everybody to have a voice. And if that's as simple as just turning off a dislike button, come on, dude, let's let it rock. I mean, if it, like, to me, it's like, if it's not really affecting you, it's affecting your channel, then like, why even have this like huge debate about it? You know what I mean? Like why it doesn't affect you? You know what I mean? For any large creator, like, you know, like Joe here, like, your videos have like a 90% ratio for like to dislike, so you're good. You know, you're great. You know, but like Joe Schmo that just came out of, you know, Arkansas, his hot take on politics is gonna be a lot different than that. You know what I mean? He's not gonna get that same approval rating out the gate. And he should be able to voice his opinion about it, you know, and have a debate with it. Like, that's the whole reason why he's putting that video out there. He wants to have a debate, so let him have the debate.
You were able to hide your like and dislike. So I can still dislike videos, it's just not public. And you know what happens when you hide the like dislike? Nobody likes or dislikes. But nobody actually interacts with the button because they feel like it's off. So this has already been the case, it's just now being applied.
So yeah, you know, I had to get the Playback channel on there. They had a lot of good counterpoints for why the dislike button, you know, should exist. And I would implore you to go watch their video if you want. Now, in terms of like, obviously the like and dislike being used less when they're less visible. Like if you you can turn off both the like and dislike, or you can just not, you know, now it's gonna just be all the dislikes gone. Of course, there's gonna be less engagement with it, but even with the less engagement from it not being visible, it's still gonna have the similar impact that it had had before. And honestly, in terms of the algorithm, it's still gonna have the exact same metrics as it had before. You know what I mean? All of the same rules are gonna apply to it. So it doesn't really matter if people are using it or not, because it's not like the experience is going to change in terms of the totality of YouTube. And that's the main thing that YouTube cares about.
So that like to dislike counter isn't always just an indicator of the quality of the video, but it's more of a review of your experience watching the video, whether it's satisfied what you came for the video for or not. And that's all with the given context.
I like that point right there in his video, and I really wanted to emphasize the fact that he said based on the given context, because when you think about a YouTube video, right? When you think about subscribing to a channel or watching a video, spending your time watching a video, right? You have to think about, did I get what I came for, right? And that's what he's talking about right there, you know? Am I satisfied with the content that I was promised, right? The thumbnail, the title, did it give me what it said it was gonna give me? And this is where the like and dislike really makes a big deal, because if you think about it, in a lot of cases, the like button and the dislike button especially are really not really indicators of that. Dislikes should be an objective scale of, did the video promise what it was delivering? Did it give me what the title and the thumbnail said it would, the description said it was going to give me? And in most cases, the videos are going to do that, right? I mean, you know what I mean? There's a lot of clickbaity videos out there, a lot of videos that are false, you know, they're not giving what they promised. And in these videos, by all means, hit the dislike button. But in the videos that are just subjectively bad, you can't do that, because you shouldn't do it. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, but you shouldn't do it, because that's not the purpose of the dislike button, even based on what MKBHD just said, because you're not really disliking the content of the video, you're disliking the whole message or the person or you know, like their image, not the video itself, because it said what it said what it was going to give you, and it gave it to you. So like by that metric, it promised what it was delivering. It delivered what it's promising, is what I want to say. But as always, I'm not going to talk your head off for 8 more years. This is ReSquared. I want you guys to leave comments in the comment section below. Dislike if you didn't like the video, because you know you ain't gonna be able to see it anyway pretty soon. Like the video if you really like the video, and as always, have an awesome day.